Hey, this is Eddie Hale, and today I want to show you my Adobe Illustrator path adjusting power user tricks. In my last video, I showed you how to manipulate paths using the direct selection arrow and the add and delete anchor point tool and the convert anchor point tool. If you haven't watched that video yet, you should go watch it. It's called something like Manipulating Paths, and it's on my YouTube channel. If you did watch it and you found it sort of difficult, I think you should go back and watch it a few more times until you really are comfortable using all those tools. But if you're comfortable and you want to be a power user, then keep watching. A power user is really just the same as any other Illustrator artist. They just do things a little faster, and that's good. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is draw an ellipse about the size of this here bug. I'm going to make the fill none, and I'm going to make the stroke sort of thick so I can see it on top of this illustration that I sketched and I scanned in. Now, I want to switch to the direct selection arrow. I'm going to do that by hitting A on my keyboard, and my cursor is going to turn into the direct selection arrow. Every tool in the toolbox has a key that you can hit that will select that tool. So later on, I'm going to hit V to select the selection tool. I'll hit P to select pen. I'll select Shift C to get the convert anchor point tool. Why would you do that? Because it's faster to hit a keystroke like that than to cursor all the way over to the toolbox. And if you save a few seconds 100 times a day, you earn more money for the boss, and the boss will like you a lot. All right, I'm going to use the direct selection arrow to move this path around, to move these anchor points around, to get them to follow the curve of this little insect I'm drawing. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So adjusting the curve just like last time, moving direction handles, moving anchor points if they're in the wrong place. So I'm getting it close. I sense that I need a couple more anchor points though to get this to work just right. So to add anchor points, I'm going to use a trick. I'm going to switch to the pen tool. I'm going to hit P on my keyboard and I'll get the pen tool. And watch this. When I go over part of the path where there is no anchor point, I get the add anchor point tool. So I can click there and add an anchor point. I missed the path. I'll click there and add an anchor point. I'll click out here and add another anchor point, and then I'll click here and add one. Now, here's another power user tip. I want to get to the direct selection arrow to move those anchor points around. I'm so lazy I'm not even going to hit the letter A. I always have my hand hovering over these modifier keys, Shift, Option, and Command. I'm going to hold down Command, and I temporarily get the direct selection arrow. I'll get whichever is the last arrow I used. That works the same on pretty much any Adobe program. Hold the Command key and you get a selection arrow. I have too many anchor points here now. I'm going to let up on the Command key and I'll have the pen tool again, and I can click on this anchor point and it will delete that anchor point. So if you use the pen tool on a path where there is no anchor point, it'll add anchor points. If you go over a spot where there is an anchor point, it will turn into the delete anchor point tool. Back to holding my Command key to adjust this path a little bit. Get it to follow that curve a little better. How is that? That's pretty close. The next interesting thing we're going to do here is we're going to add anchor points for this guy's head, and then we are going to break direction handles in some interesting ways. I'm going to click here with the pen tool to add an anchor point, click here to add another anchor point, and now I'm going to switch to the direct selection arrow. Remember how these things work like teeter-totters, these curve handles? I want to break this handle and send the path out this way from this anchor point. And there's a few different ways to do it. First, I'm going to hit Shift C on my keyboard and I'll get the convert anchor point tool. Now I can grab this direction handle and break it with the convert anchor point tool. I'm going to undo. There's another neat way. This is a curve handle again. If I were in the pen tool, I was just in there when I added that anchor point. If I hold the Option key, the pen tool turns into the convert anchor point tool temporarily. There, I can break that direction handle. If I could hit it, I could break that one too. There, it breaks. and I'm in the pen tool. I can go back to adding anchor points for these antennas now if I wanted to, but I'm going to undo a few times so I can show you another way. If I'm in the direct selection arrow, it's working like a teeter-totter. If I hold the Option key, the direct selection arrow will break direction handles. Hold the Option and it breaks those handles. Then I can go on adjusting things with my direct selection arrow the way I often do. So there you go, 3 different ways you can convert anchor points. You can hit Shift C to get the Convert Anchor Point tool. If you're in the pen tool, you can hold Option to temporarily switch to the Convert Anchor Point tool. And if you're in the direct selection arrow, you can hold the Option key and it'll break that handle when you move it. Now, please don't ever do this. Once you get in the habit of holding the Option key, don't ever use the Convert Anchor Point tool with the Option key. If I hold the Option key and I'm in the Convert Anchor Point tool, it makes a duplicate path. If I can grab this. See, it made a duplicate path there. If I deselect this, you'll see that there's just a hunk of a path there. It's not the whole path around the bug. So when you're in the Convert Anchor Point tool, the real Convert Anchor Point tool that you selected from the toolbox, you don't have to hold down any keys. It just breaks the handles. You only hold down the key when you're in the direct selection arrow. Then you can hold down the Option key and it'll break the handle without making a duplicate path. I am going to speed up the tape now and add a bunch of extra anchor points here so that I can make these antenna and some other fun things, and then I'll be right back. All right, so there we go. I've got the bug drawn there, the outline of my sketch. I want to show you the last couple of power user tricks that I use a lot. If I want to zoom into a spot to work on an illustration, I'll hold Command and Spacebar on my keyboard, and then I'll draw a little marquee around the spot that I want to zoom in on, and I'll get in real close. Now I can work on this very close and detailed, and when I want to move to another spot on the drawing, I use another trick. I hold the space bar and I temporarily get the scrolling hand. And now I can scroll to other spots on my illustration and adjust those too. I encourage you to do this. Zoom way in on your illustrations and check to make sure that everything is beautiful and aligned and your curves that should be parallel are parallel. After I'm zoomed in like this, if I want to zoom out real fast, I'll hit Command minus sometimes to zoom out, or I'll hit Command 0 to zoom all the way out. So let's review everything you've learned today. If you want to get the direct selection arrow, you can hit A on your keyboard. If you want to get the pen tool, you can hit P on your keyboard. The pen tool will turn into the Add Anchor Point tool or Delete Anchor Point tool, depending on where you hover over a path. If you hold the Command key, you'll get the direct selection arrow when you're in other tools. If you want to break direction handles, you can hit Shift C to get the Convert Anchor Point tool. Undo. You can, in the pen tool, hold the Option key to temporarily get the Convert Anchor Point tool. Command Z. Or if you're in the direct selection arrow, you can hold the Option key and it will break direction handles. Command Z. To zoom in real fast, you can hold Spacebar and Command key and zoom in, and to zoom out, Command minus or Command 0. So there you go. Those are Ed's path adjusting power user tricks. I hope you use them a lot. Thanks for watching. Bye.